Assalamu alaikum. This is the lab in which we had to serially communicate two devices or two microcontrollers, but the disclaimer here is that the code doesn't work on the simulation as well as on the hardware for some reason. But I still nonetheless will explain to you what the code actually is. So on the hardware, when we are using the USART protocol, the communication pins that we use are the TX or TX and RX pins. TX means this transfer pin and RX means the receiver pin. So here the transfer pin is declared as an output, and the receiver pin has been declared as an input, as it will be receiving the information. The port D has been set as high, which means it is pull-up enabled, and the A and C are basically the ports where the keypad will be connected. UBBR value is basically the value that is used to set the baud rate or the transfer rate between the two devices. The first part of the baud rate is set into the UBRROH register, and the second part is stored into the UBRROL register. UCSROB register is the register that enables the receiver and transmitter pin. UCSROC is the register in which we set the stop bits and we set the size of the data being transferred. So after this configuration, our microcontroller actually know that one word is of a length 8-bit and the next 2 bits are actually the stop bits. So what is actually happening in this code is we have used the keypad logic that I have used in my previous labs wherever the keypad was required, and while UCSROA, which is a register that has a UDRE flag, is empty, it stores the value in the UDRO register. So all of this happens throughout this code. One thing I forgot to mention was this is the code that will be stored in the master end or the sender end of the microcontroller. It will be the microcontroller to which the keypad will be attached, and this UDRO value will actually be then transferred to the other microcontroller. So it is dependent on us which value will be stored in the UDRO register. This was the master end of the code, and now let's get to the slave end of the code. All the other settings are just the same. The only difference is right here. When the data is received through this register UCSROA and this flag is being monitored, it is stored in this variable data, and after that this data variable is monitored, and it is used to display what value is going to be on the LCD. So the code is not as much complex and it is quite simple, but for some reason it is not working on the simulation. So that will conclude our lab about serial communication.